add-ons. The thing that'll no longer exist in the game very soon. That's right. The add-on slaughter has begun, and the first add-ons are beginning to fall. DBM and Weak Aura are dead. Let's see what Bellular has to say.
World of Warcraft game director Ian Hazzikostas didn't say it outright, but he did imply it. The add-on slaughter begins at midnight. In 2026, your favorite combat add-ons will be executed. I know that sounds like a lot, but here's what happened.
They're gone.
PC Gamer's Heather Newman got to grill him on add-ons and what Blizzard's plan is. This is the same reporter who got Ian to admit that patch 11.1.5 was a bit of a nightmare. Naturally then, he let slip a lot more than they're ready to announce, and what he managed not to say is almost even more telling. So strap in. This one's pretty big. And I'm also going to do something.
Well, he said patch 11.1.5 was a nightmare. You guys remember how bad the server lag was and everything because of add-ons? Not the server lag, but like personal lag. People were having so many issues in the raid because add-ons and everything were... And then they tried to come out with like the add-on tracker or whatever that was supposed to track how much of your CPU was used by the add-ons, and that caused even more lag. Yeah, there was some problems early on because of add-ons in this patch, for sure. Sam, are you excited? You'll only have to use one button soon so you can finally tank? Jesus Christ.
Something. I'm going to cast a blessing of protection on you.
No,
yes, apparently I'm a paladin, but no, data stories hit us every week. Like, say, when British Telecom had a breach that exposed loads of my family who, at the time were not protected in the way that I am with today's sponsor, Incogni. They've just got even better, and yes, I now also have the family plan. Their core service already scrubs your data from more than 250 broker sites, and it keeps your data down with continuous suppression sweeps. But even better, the new Unlimited plan adds custom removals. So if you spot your details online anywhere, right, paste the URL into your Incogni dashboard and their privacy team will file a legal takedown. They'll actually go and do it. And in about 45 days, you'll find that page is gone. Now, there's no limit in submission, so you can just keep feeding links until your search results are spotless and there are not things that just mess up your peace of mind and would allow people to know things about you that they shouldn't. Basically, I kind of see this as like routine maintenance for my digital life, or, being a big Warcraft nerd, it's a bit like blessing and protection from a paladin. So, if you want the same peace of mind, head to incogni.com/Warcraft. You'll get 60% off the annual Unlimited plan and get yourself a clean slate online.
Okay, what did Ian say?
He said they aren't touching combat add-ons in patch 11.1.7. They're not touching them in 11.2 either. In corporate speak, that...
Yeah, but he didn't say never. He didn't say never. That's what this means right here. He's saying they're not going to touch in these two patches, but they are going to touch them. You're going to be touched, people.
That means we, have to do a bit of deduction, meaning that they're doing it afterwards.
I don't get a cut.
And that means they're doing it in midnight, which is the next big thing. Mm-hmm. And if that seems soon to you, think about the last few months. No one saw the player housing news coming, but it's been in the works for years. We didn't expect the cooldown manager. The one-button assistant took us all by surprise. So here's the thing. If we expect the unexpected, we should expect Blizzard to move fast. Blisteringly fast. Perhaps, moving fast and breaking things. And we should expect it on everything that...
If we really see Blizzard move at an incredible pace here, where they're just deleting add-ons as quickly as possible and really getting rid of these things and pruning them out of the game, I think it means one thing and one thing only. Microsoft has given them a deadline to port World of Warcraft over to console. That's what I think this all means. I mean, we already saw the official Xbox handheld, too, that should be able to run Battle.net, like, natively, which would mean you could play World of Warcraft on there. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, Steam Deck already ran World. That's fine, but that was not something that Blizzard was part of. That's just the Steam Deck running shit the way it runs shit. This is something specifically that Microsoft is working on to port their games over. And if they want World of Warcraft to be playable on console natively without requiring anything else, no add-ons, no nothing, this is how you're going to do it. And people will say you can play it with controller already. Yeah, but, I mean, it's going to be so much easier with one button, right?
They talk about, and my God, Ian talked about a lot.
Also, you can use a keyboard and mouse on an Xbox. I mean, I don't even know why that's a big thing. But I guess if they just want it to be able to be picked up by just about anybody, and people can play this game no matter where they are, when they are, whoever they are, this is the way to do it. Yeah, getting rid of add-ons for sure.
Here, they are clearly further than they are letting on. This is coming close. Here's what matters most then. He told us which add-ons are marked for death. It is combat add-ons only. That means quest helpers will survive, gathering add-ons will survive, RP add-ons, UI customization, all of those will survive. Now, by calling it slaughter, maybe we're exaggerating slightly. He said they're not out just to smash add-ons purely because they're add-ons. Instead, they want to fix problems, and they want to do so with as little collateral damage as is possible. But of course, there will be some. So here's their plan. They want to keep shipping their own add-on replacements. And once they're happy that those things work, well, that's when they kill the other troops.
Yeah.
So maybe these add-ons won't be dead on midnight launch day.
There's going to be a transition period for sure. Yeah, they'll allow the add-ons to continue until they've perfected their own version of it, and then they finally kill it. And some people are saying, well, why do you have to kill add-ons to be able to make the game playable on console or whatever? Well, if somebody's running a raid on console, yeah, believe it or not, it could happen. They won't just be casual players. They might want to play the end game. If you're requiring a weak aura or something like that to be able to run the raid, that's not going to be possible on console. It's just not going to be something they'll be able to do, which means you are essentially cutting those people out of raid. You find out they don't have the add-on, you kick them out of the group. That's not so. Blizzard doesn't want that. They want to be able to make boss fights that don't require add-ons at all to be able to get done, and they want them to still be challenging though. And add-ons will make those boss fights essentially not challenging at all. So they got to get rid of the add-ons, revamp how they do boss fights, and then people on console can basically play at the same level as somebody on a PC.
There is a good chance they will die shortly after. Ian used examples. As a big one, boss timelines. Now, this shows us how far along they are. Because if they kill deadly boss mods and bigwigs without replacing them, what happens? Players will just turn to something else. I don't know, like YouTube videos that do callouts on a timer or some weird thing where, you can synchronize a YouTube video to the start of your pull timer. Things like that would be awful. Blizzard clearly doesn't want that, and you can actually tell they've thought this through, and they have a kind of smart solution. Before they kill what they're planning, they'll have official boss mods in the game. Yes, official Blizzard boss mods. And also an official Blizzard damage meter. And Ian actually let slip some concrete details. Here's what they're planning then. Removing combat log access. Getting rid of aura hooks. Ooh. And killing combat log access will
won't that mean that we don't get DPS charts and everything? They did say they want to have their own DPS charts and stuff. I guess this would kill it. This would kill the add-on version of it.
We kill existing boss mods. That's the bread and butter of how they function. It'll kill damage meters as well. Yeah. That's because that's how those things check for spell casts and damage events. Take getting rid of aura hooks. Well, that means that add-ons can't read your buffs and your debuffs. That will just gut Hekili, as one example. It'll gut most weak auras as well. That's everything impacted, from your class auras to your party cooldown trackers. That's a lot, and if it was all to happen at once, there would be real implications. Things like, say, you having no interrupt tracking. Yes, no interrupt tracking. If Blizzard doesn't replace it with an official solution, then you'll just have to call your kicks manually using voice, or organize them, right, with your teammates ahead of time.
Like, this is going to affect some people a lot. I personally don't really use add-ons. I've never been a big fan of add-ons. I try to minimize the amount of add-ons I use. I think I have like DBM and Plater and some and a DPS chart. That's like it. Beyond that, I'm not running any add-ons. All these interrupt callouts and all this weird... I see people play all the time on Twitch, and I don't know what the fuck's going on their screen half the time. They've got like 200 UIs like up on their screen. There's like no sound from the game. All you're hearing is like weird like dinging sounds and like beeps and shit of when they should be doing things. It doesn't even look like WoW. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know how people find that enjoyable. So I've never wanted that for me, personally. I enjoy playing the game in its most native form possible, and that's why, guess what, when this transition happens, it's not going to affect me that much. If anything, it's going to make me better, because it's finally going to bring people down to my shit level. Yeah, so we'll see, but I'm happy about this stuff, I'll be honest.
But there is some good news, though. Ian said that if something needs to be tracked, they will make it part of WoW's default UI. As an example, he called out tank swaps by name. There are going to be new and obvious cues of when you should do a tank swap. That means that instead of...
A good tank swap call out, that's a good one. That's an easy one that they can add into the game. What is this? What this looks like is what I'm talking about? Yeah, basically. But what the hell is this? You can barely even see, like, he's got this is like his visual frame for the game, and then the rest of this shit is just filled with crap. What is going on? Why does he need these percentages? What's this ready shit? What the hell is this? Void. Why has he got these big fucking numbers here? Like, how is this even? He's probably a great player. This guy's probably good. but I don't know what the hell's going on his screen. This is also like intuitively not good for like Twitch. Like people watching this, they don't know what the fuck's going on. Imagine somebody is thinking about playing WoW for the first time. Like, oh, let me go check out Twitch. Let me see what this game looks like. And they see this. They're like, oh, fuck, what is this? I don't want to play this game. Overall, just the game I feel like would be in a better place if it doesn't include all these fucking add-ons.
Having DBM scream at you once the right number of stacks ticks up, there'll be something in WoW to do it naturally. That's actually kind of good news in a way, I think, because it is a bit arcane and bizarre that you just have to, like, count a stack
I'm sure
of
he's
something
good at the game.
that by
I'm sure he's all
default
right.
is placed over in Narni at the top right of your screen. There's some even better news as well. Instead of letting you track things like interrupts, Blizzard might actually go the other way. They might change the dungeons so they need fewer interrupts, fewer stops, so that essentially you don't miss not having that functionality because you no longer need it. I think it's fair to say that the ongoing arms race has led to World of Warcraft being, God, just absolutely full of bing, bing, wahoo and things to track that for a lot of people it's
I should have just waited for Belly. Oh my god. This is worse than that Che guy's stuff was at least, you could somewhat... You can't even see his character. Where is his tune? What the hell? Oh my god.
overwhelming. That creates the need for add-ons. If Blizzard wants to solve that by fixing the need
no way to
problem
see anything.
instead of the add-on problem, well, actually, I'm kind of all for that. So here's their goal, right? If the add-on slaughter makes the game harder, they will then make it easier at the same time to compensate so there's balance, and the same goes for raids. As an example, that means less swirlies. Random swirlies that are just there to change the signal to noise ratio, I guess, a weird form of difficulty. The same will go for other things.
Yeah, Blizzard, I mean, I already said it before. This raid is filled with swirlies like this, and Blizzard admitted they did this because this is something that add-ons can't help as much with. Right? Swirlies are something that players got to move. The add-on can't move for you. You got to get out of things and get into things and soak things and do things. So yeah, this became a liberation of Undermine became swirlies of Undermine. Basically, every single boss fight has these.
Having more time to react to mechanics, so you don't feel like you need highly granular customized boss timers. It'll mean simpler things to organize as a group because now you'll actually have to do the thing yourself instead of have an add-on tell you what to do. And I'd say if you're a caster, that's going to be music to your ears. It'll mean less interrupting yourself as you have to step out of swirlies and nonsense and stuff that I think has, well, pretty convincingly made World of Warcraft a less fun game experience. That thing on being a caster really hit me. That just the existence of swirlies makes playing a caster so much less fun for me that now I'm basically melee only. And if we're to think about when you should do such a large change, there's one obvious point in time, an expansion launch, because that is the resetting of the board.
Yeah,
otherwise,
makes sense.
if they did it, say, halfway through an expansion, then they'd have to design Midnight dungeons twice. First at launch, and then again after they have done all of the changes that Ian has talked about. Now, there's one thing you may be real worried about, and that's, say, Warcraft logs, and your ability to just look at your performance after the fact. Good news, because even with combat log access gone, logging tools will survive. If you're wondering why, it's because they read logs that are written to file after the fight. Now, that doesn't mean the Blizzard couldn't just kill logging entirely. They absolutely could, but if they're only doing this via the hooks that Ian described, then your Warcraft log stuff is...
I don't think they'd kill Warcraft logs. Again, this is all about... I feel like this is all about accessibility on console and shit. So making Warcraft logs go away... that doesn't make any sense. Again, it logs after the fight. Somebody who's playing on Xbox could still see what their log looks like afterwards. That has nothing to do with accessibility to the game. So that'll continue. Do I wish they got rid of logs just for the simple fact that people would stop parsing and actually do the mechanics? Yeah, but that'll never happen.
Fine and going to be safe. I would actually put money in Warcraft logs being safe, especially since Ian likes Warcraft logs. He actually does like it. He uses it in his presentations. Talks.
Yeah.
So, those are the most important things that Ian actually said. But as always, you cannot take a game director at face value, especially one for such a massive company. And that does mean we've got to read in between the lines. Okay, here's what he really said. WoW is heading towards rapid and radical change. The game is going to be very different and very soon. He knows the damage they've accidentally done since Legion. He obviously knows it. I just feel it when you listen to him. They are basically going to hit the undo button. Now, if you weren't around and you don't know what I mean, Don't worry, I'll explain, right? WoW was basically reborn with Legion. Every spec was redesigned with tons of artifact traits. This built the foundations of today's insanely complicated classes. Then there were legendaries, which made this even crazier. Then they added massive rotation-changing chase items to the game. Mythic Plus added a whole new way to play, people started to massively sweat it, and this all made those complexities a necessity to master, and since then, it's only escalated.
Sure.
Artifacts were left in Legion, but many of their effects were baked into our classes. Azerite armor, well, that added lots of passive buffs, lots of procs, so many, in fact, that the game's servers literally had performance issues. Then Shadow...
Man. Brad Streamy, thank you for the sub, man. Prime at 14 months of being a Death Knight of our Scourge. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the complications of the game have certainly increased, right? Yeah, of course, your class is more complicated, everything's more complicated. But if you dumb it down to a level that exists currently like in Vanilla Classic, I don't think players would be very happy about it. I think some people like the challenge of mastering their more complicated class. I'm sure there's a balance to it. But just going all out, pruning things back down to what they were in Classic, I don't know if that's the balance people are looking for. Breaking Keys. Sam, what are you doing tonight? And well, I'm not sure yet. I'll just get in there and I'll probably kill Underpin, like single pull him, just one shot him.
Lands chucked in even more legendaries into the pile, and continually the good legendaries, the good Azerite traits, those were all folded back into the dough. Then Dragonflight codified it all with the new talent trees, and now hero talents. So no wonder people feel like they need weak ores and Hekili, and no wonder Blizzard wants to kill them. But to do that right, they need to...
This isn't horrible. This doesn't look too bad in terms of UI. Like, we saw some really bad ones. Someone said, I feel bad for Che. His UI is actually kind of clean. His was like not one of the worst ones I've seen. I've seen worse, but even this for me is too much. Like, I do like I like taking the game in. I like the immersion of the game, and I feel like all this shit breaks immersion. There's too much going on. But it's not bad, this one. But still, I just don't like all this clutter everywhere.
Tone down all this madness first.
Call me a noob, but I just like a clean,
World of Warcraft look
open
like
screen.
Strange, impenetrable, arcane mystery, but at the pace of a bunch of skibbity...
Hekili's not gone yet. It will eventually be gone once Blizzard's in-game version of Hekili is fully implemented and working correctly. It will be gone, but it won't be gone because you'll just have the in-game version of it that works the same way.
Toilet TikToks. I know that sounds like a weird thing. It's not a natural thing for me to say. That's the strange thing about WoW. Its theory crafting is turbo nerd. Its second-to-second gameplay is absurdly super fast ADHD. It's mad. And we see the impact of this arms race on our bosses. WoW bosses have got more interesting in recent expansions, but they've also gotten extremely fast. Every raid has at least one swirly, spamming nightmare boss where you're just looking at your character's feet, mildly annoyed. You've got mechanics that give you almost zero time to react. There's a reason why. Because Blizzard knows your add-on will just blow literally an air horn in your ears and flash something on your screen and tell you what to do. But without that add-on, well, Blizzard no longer needs to challenge you in the same way. And that means there's more design space freed up to get cool, unique stuff. I mean, I'm gonna go off-piste here, but you know in like the field of animation, right? You've got anticipation, wheeling up for the punch. All those things that just, by the classic rules of animation, are so important. But in video game terms, well, if Blizzard has got to challenge you really, really quickly, it becomes hard for them to make big, awesome set pieces. Because the way that players are challenged, the tools that players have are like a weird autopilot that'll tell you if there's anything you ever need to know.
Yeah.
That actually ruins so much game design. And so
it also limits the amount of mechanics they can use in a boss fight, because they don't want to put mechanics in there that just get nullified by an add-on. That's for sure. I gotta wonder if an add-on is so good that Blizzard adapts it into the game, does the add-on creator get a payoff? I don't think so. No. I'll be honest, Cam. There's certainly no legal precedence for that whatsoever. So I doubt they would get any kind of payout. I said myself, I wish Blizzard would just hire those people, like the Hekili guys. Hey, we want to put your add-on in the game. Can we hire you and you just get this shit implemented on the back end for us, and then you just make sure it's always working and you work on other add-ons maybe later on. I wish they would do that, but I don't think they do that either. I'll be honest. I think that's it. They just kill it off and that's it. You're done. Go find something else to do.
case for this is that without all of that gumph,
They should
we'll
consult them at
actually
least.
get the cool unique stuff that will get a
Maybe.
better
They
signal to
probably
noise
don't,
ratio
though.
in our game, that will have none of the brutal, relentless spam of avoidable damage that makes World of Warcraft less approachable, less accessible, but also massively less fun and less interesting. And that means that if Legion was basically WoW 2.0, then Midnight, well, Midnight might be where WoW 3.0 starts.
Maybe.
Okay, so I've told you and showed you what Ian said, then we've talked about the overall implications and reading in between the lines. But where it gets interesting is, similar things have been said literally, officially. Blizzard sent a message to an add-on developer Discord. In the message they said this, quote, "Removing the ability for add-ons to solve most encounter mechanics means that we can take a different approach to the design of our encounters going forward. The same goes for certain class mechanics. The goal is to make our class mechanics more approachable, easier to understand without add-on solutions." And look, take a game like, say, Elden Ring.
Sure.
In some ways, you could say it's not particularly fast-paced. It doesn't have a crazy amount of different inputs that a player can make, or an insane number of things for players to deal with at once. But what is there is careful, great design, precision, and at a pace where a player can actually feel the designer's intent. And I think that's something that arguably WoW Classic, actually, with its pacing, was able to stumble upon, and it's something that modern WoW has undoubtedly lost. That statement sent to that Discord is all of this right from Blizzard's own mouth. Basically, the add-on slaughter is not there to kill add-ons out of spite and hatred. I mean, developers typically think other developers are awesome. Add-on devs are awesome, right? Developers! Play the Steve Ballmer meme. Anyway, they're doing this because Blizzard is finally fixing what we've been complaining about for years, that add-ons play the game for us, and that makes it less fun. And it seems this is starting with Midnight, right? Where WoW's dungeons, raids, and classes might look way different. Now, you think I'm exaggerating? Think about the last time we saw big class changes in WoW. It was patch 11.1. There were none whatsoever in the last 0.5 patch, and there are none in the upcoming 0.7 patch either. And that's as compared to a Blizzard that was shipping class changes all the time. It's really weird. It's completely unlike recent Blizzard.
Right.
I mean,
Maybe that means there's going to be big changes all at once. Yeah, I see what he's on to here.
might see a stack of class changes in patch 11.2. It is a major patch after all, but I have a bit of an inkling here that something else is happening. I think they've shifted gears. I think they're changing classes for the post-add-on world. The one that they are willing to enforce. That's the difference. And it will be a different world. Here's what they said about WoW's future. It's a quote. "If everything goes to plan, WoW will remain challenging, but the nature of that challenge will be different. Less about managing the subtleties of class mechanics, more about collaborating with allies and interacting with encounters." And honestly, that's music to my ears. That's
Interesting.
what I think will make for more memorable, exciting bosses and memories that I make with the people I play this game with. And it's all a bit meta too. This whole World Soul Saga thing is not just about a new approach to WoW's story, it's clearly a new approach to gameplay as well. And if you still don't believe me, well, this message said details are coming in, quote, the coming months. We're going to know soon. Now, they said they are giving many months of advance notice to these add-on developers. Now, with that in mind, take a look at...
So they are giving advance notice to the add-on developers. So who is it? Zolshi earlier talking about, are they talking to the developers? I guess this confirms that they kind of are. I don't know how they're talking to them, how they're reaching out to them, but they're giving them notice about these things. So maybe they're collaborating with some of them. Who knows?
WoW's development cycle, there's only one way they can put up a build with that much notice. That is in an alpha. And if it's in the coming months, it will be the alpha of World of Warcraft Midnight. And for everything he's left between the lines, there's also everything he didn't say, or perhaps won't admit. Not because he's a bad dude, obviously, because, you know, you're a game director, you do actually have to be media trained and so on. So let's dive into the spicy bits. One thing he said...
What he didn't say, okay. I got a bad feeling about this change. The backlash is going to be... Yeah, the backlash is going to be there, but at the same time, I do think it's better for it's healthier for the game, for these things to exist in the game, for one, and second, for them to be able to finally create some boss fights that are actually interesting in a way where add-ons are not just solving every freaking problem that exists. Because when Blizzard knows add-ons are going to fix problems, then they're not incentivized to fix the problems.
Shocked us in the Guild's Discord. He said that their challenging task ahead will be the players. and it's rare you hear that. Specifically, it's getting players to accept that Blizzard's defaults are 96% of perfect. 96%. I don't know where he got that number. Maybe he just saw 96 come to him in his wildest dreams. Or maybe he just...
96%. Interesting. Well, is 96% acceptable in the medical profession? Probably not. But I mean, the thing is, I don't think they're ever going to be good enough because everyone's going to paint the add-ons with rose-colored glasses, and they're going to say, this is, even if there's like one minor issue, but this is never going to live up to what Hekili was, even if Hekili itself had issues at times. But like you're just going to, yeah, he's right. They're just going to have to deal with the backlash and understand that's probably better for the game at the end of the day.
Just reverse the numbers of 69, and it turns out he's just a bit of a goblin. Who knows, but 96 is a pretty high number. What I'd contend with is, I love the plan, I love the vision, but I think that's way beyond what Blizzard is currently capable of. Have you looked at the cooldown manager lately? Have you? I mean, that's not 96%. It's not even 69%. I'd say it's 60 at most. That's conservative. Here's the thing. The first 80% of perfect comes easy. It's kind of called the 80-20 rule for a reason, right? It's the last 20% that's tough.
Makes sense.
And it's the last 20% that's, where something...
Do I trust Blizzard to get it right eventually? I think they will. I just think it's going to take time. I think there's going to be some growing pains, and I think it's going to piss people off. But Blizzard did say that, like, during the transitionary phase, they're not going to kick add-ons out of the game yet. So you'll be able to basically bounce between both, but it's kind of like that annoying... I don't know what to compare it to, like a Windows update to Outlook, right? And you're on your computer for work, and Outlook keeps pinging you to try the new update, and you don't want to. And eventually it gets to that day where like the dead point comes and they're going to kill the old version of Outlook and you got to go to the new version. And then you're left with just saying, oh, fuck, now I have to try the new one. You haven't practiced with it or anything, and now you suck at using Outlook for a month. You got to figure out all these changes and shit that happen. And that's probably what's going to happen with a lot of people. They're going to use Hekili and all these other add-ons to the last second until Blizzard forces them to use the in-game shit. And then there's going to be some insane freaking uproar about it. But eventually it'll just calm down and people will use the in-game stuff.
Say, rather than a BlackBerry, is an iPhone, and therefore can surprise and delight a far larger audience, which I have to assume is basically their goal here. So, add-on developers, right, in making all the solutions we have today, have had years and years and years and years and years of iteration, years of work, zero restraints except for the API. But Blizzard, they are like a tank that's racing someone on, I don't know, like a very fast bike with all of the CCs that's very powerful, and that's kind of the thing.
Right.
Blizzard in their big lumbering tank. Very big, very powerful, but also Blizzard are slow and clumsy. That nimble add-on developer in their bike can run circles around Blizzard in their big, slow tank. And that's what they've been doing for years. That's why we call it the add-on arms race. So I don't know.
By the way, I know some of you guys are saying like the only way, Libor says the only way Blizzard can get it right is if they hire some of the add-on devs. But he's making a point here about that. If like the add-on devs who just work on this add-on in the corner of their basement and they're just doing their thing and then implementing the updates into the game and all that shit, they can work so much faster than if they were hired into Blizzard and then have to deal with all the corporate shit, because you can't just pop in an update to an add-on that is built into Blizzard and have that shit running the next day perfectly. And it's going to have to go through all these improvements and all these approvals and all these up-the-chain shit. And then every time you got that one done, you got to start the next one. Whereas right now, this add-on developer, he literally just says, hey, I think it'd be a good idea if I added like class colors into this. Boop, click a button, update is sent, it's done. So like even if they bring these guys in, the corporate slog that is working in a corporation is going to get to them. And it's just not going to be as good as it was when they were working on their own and developing the add-on on their own.
It really has a chance here. It will be hard. I mean,
at least it won't be as fast.
Of details. Is that going to let you give, custom nicknames to your teammates? Will it show damage graphs after the dungeon? Show health pot usage? What about interrupts? Will their boss mods have options for a timeline view?
Do you guys remember when Damage Meters had a problem tracking Devastation Evoker? Like it just wasn't working and it was not showing things properly. It's even happened with like hunter pets and stuff like that. I assume that like these things won't be a problem when Blizzard's doing their own damage meters, right? Because they'll be able to track it. They have all the data and everything. They'll be able to track what a devastation, or not a devastation, augmentation, I was meant to say. An augmentation evoker is putting out there for the group. So there are some positives to the company that makes the game also making the things for the game, like the damage meter and stuff like that.
Will it show damage graphs after the dungeon? Show health pot usage? What about
No,
interrupts?
Cadence.
Will their boss mods have options for a timeline view like the one that we've been using Weak Auras to do for years now because, well, I just think it's a way better UI for that kind of thing? We can't say. And you've probably felt a whole twinge of doubt as I was laying out the big plan, the big vision. I think that doubt's completely justified and justifiable. As much as I love Blizzard's vision, and if I could wave a wand and I guess just be wherever Ian wants to take us, I'd wave that wand. But in reality, the future of WoW hinges on Blizzard being realistic. Now, it's good they've opened talks to that on devs, but this is a truly massive undertaking. If Blizzard can pull this off, WoW could slowly work its way to a new era, one that is way more fun than I want. Way healthier for every class of player and actually sustainable on development. But that's a really, really big if. And we will just have to wait and see if they can manage. But what you don't have to wait and see for is, in fact, this next video on The Last Titan and some of the really cool lore stuff that's being cooked up.
Yeah. Is all of this for the better? I think it is. There's just going to be a lot of growing pains. That's for sure. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. There's going to be problems. There's going to be things that don't work properly. There's going to be people bitching about stuff. But in the end game, I think this is going to be better for the game. For sure. Are we getting this tomorrow? No. The first set of like add-ons, in-game add-ons we're getting tomorrow is the single button rotation and like the Hekili replacement. Now, Hekili's not going away. The rotation assist where it highlights which button. That's not going away, but Blizzard's version of it is getting implemented starting tomorrow. So we'll get to see like Blizzard's first attempt at replacing an add-on tomorrow. Beyond that, all these things are supposed to continue into midnight. So this is not like an overnight thing. Your add-ons aren't going away tomorrow. Blizzard's add-ons aren't coming in tomorrow, but slowly but surely they'll drip feed us the new shit and get rid of the old shit. That's how it's going to work. I'm excited for this personally, but we'll see. Nice video from Bellular.